Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Of course, most of us probably are since it is Friday. I know I'm feeling extra good this morning because of that as the weekend nears. Got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for today, as we always do in these morning videos. Got some severe weather to talk about. No kind of outbreak by any means today, guys. You know, there's just going to be a conditional threats for areas of the Central Plains. And, I say conditional. I mean, there's going to be some widespread showers and storms, but the severity level of them is not going to be too bad today. But we'll talk about that. This non-tropical low keeps spinning around in the mid and deep south, and the eastern side of it will initiate some more thunderstorms a little bit later this afternoon. There's already some heavier rain ongoing in portions of like North Carolina this morning. We'll talk about that. And then the severe weather threat has increased. The confidence has increased for severe weather for tomorrow. And this does include a bullseye right in the middle of Arkansas. There's an enhanced risk now for severe storms. It's not really tornado driven, but there will be a risk of tornadoes, a 5% risk. But it's damaging winds and really the chance for very large hail. Wind-driven large hail is possible with this. And models are really coming together on what they think might can happen. And we'll give you an update on that towards the end of the video. I have a timestamp up for that if you just want to skip ahead. But with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Appreciate the ongoing support. It really means a lot. And the consistent views from people who view even when things aren't going crazy out there in the weather world. There is something I'm watching next week in regards of severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center, I believe at day 7, has a 15% risk of severe thunderstorms, so about a week out. So, of course, we'll continue to talk about that also. There's some chance of severe weather also Sunday, but we'll talk a little bit about that here in the next day or so, or tonight. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. Let's check out water vapor loop this morning. Massive spin. This is our non-tropical low. And on this side of this non-tropical low, you have convection that's ongoing. It's moved out of South Carolina this morning. You still got lingering convection in the PD of South Carolina, but it's fully really moved into North Carolina. But we'll have the initiation of some more thunderstorms, maybe northeast Georgia, eastern Georgia, and they will kind of pivot through South Carolina, then back into North Carolina, where we do have a marginal risk for severe storms. That is a level 1 out of 5. And then while watching the initiation of a low pressure, a surface low at the surface, that will initiate some more storms later today in Kansas, areas of Nebraska. And speaking of that, the Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk of severe thunderstorms for central and kind of east central Nebraska, and then for areas of southeast Nebraska. And I just dawned on me that I wanted to have my Google Maps pulled up to kind of talk about a couple towns and communities. So I do apologize about that, but I guess my phone is right here to my right. So I guess I can pull it out on the fly here. But there is a marginal risk for severe storms. This does include Columbia, South Carolina, Charlotte, up to Raleigh, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Hickory, places like that, where we have a level 1 out of 5 for severe storms. Tornado threat, less than 2% chance, even in the slight risk. Just not a big-time environment for tornadoes at all, but there is a 15% risk of damaging winds in this yellow area. That's winds. I always say damaging winds. 15% chance of winds pushing 50 knots or higher. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour in this region. There's also a 10% risk of significant winds pushing 65 knots. That's around 70 to 75 miles per hour. But the hail threat is elevated in this area too today, where any kind of storms can get going. There's a 15% risk of hail pushing 1 inch of diameter or larger. And then there's also a hatch risk, cannot talk, which is the black outlined area. That is at least a 10% risk to see 2 inch in diameter or larger hail in this area, in this yellow area. So let's talk about the southeast first, a more broad look at it, what's going on. HRRR model is doing pretty well this morning with the convection that's left South Carolina and then moved into North Carolina. This will continue. We'll mention Arkansas, most of Tennessee, Mississippi, everybody out here. Won't see much today, but the initiation of some more storms will develop in Georgia today. I would say the severe weather threat today is not as high as yesterday. Not sure if we had any confirmed tornadoes yesterday. I haven't really looked into it, but we'll see. If we did, we would know more today. But keep going. Showers, storms pivot through this entire area today. And we can go on and just get a little bit closer. This includes the Carolinas and surrounding other states And these showers and storms this morning will drift into Virginia. More showers and storms will reinitialize here in northern sections of North Carolina. It'll be kind of a stormy after lunchtime for the Outer Banks and coastal regions of North Carolina. But then we'll watch this little cluster of showers and storms that gets going. Some can produce some pretty gusty winds, maybe some damaging winds. You never know, maybe a quick spin up, but the environment, there's really a lack of shear out here for any kind of substantial or even any kind of appreciable tornado threat with this. But you could have storms anywhere from eastern Tennessee, getting into this afternoon, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock this afternoon, up to eastern Kentucky, western Virginia, up to West Virginia, and throughout the Carolinas and northeast and northern and eastern Georgia. These will pivot through. I expect some afternoon showers and storms and downpours from maybe Augusta to Columbia to Charlotte and maybe some other regions, many other regions in North Carolina today. We're getting into about 5 p.m., still ongoing. I think this begins to diminish somewhat for Tennessee and Georgia, though, but still isolated showers and storms for South Carolina. And then North Carolina, I would say more widespread. And these continue to push into Virginia, even to the evening hours, where we could have some, storms that could produce some, damaging winds potential. But like I said, not a huge severe weather threat today. And by the time you get to tonight, daytime heating obviously isn't there. And, the atmosphere chills out there. The Northeast, most of the Northeast will be fine today. Nothing really expected. But some of that energy from that low pressure pivots some of this moisture all the way, like I said, into Kentucky and West Virginia and Virginia. Some of these showers and storms might make it all the way into the kind of coastal regions of Maryland, maybe even to the Delmarva this evening. It might make it all the way into to Ohio a little bit later today, especially southeast Ohio, but not really in the form of storms, just some scattered rain showers, some April showers bringing Mayflowers. You guys know the deal. But, as we get into tonight, by the time you wake up Saturday morning, some areas in and around Maryland, West Virginia, southern Pennsylvania, northern VA. By the time you're waking up for tomorrow morning, you certainly could wake up to some rain or either some damp conditions, a little area of moisture right here circling around. And I believe that's just associated with the low pressure that makes it all the way up into the mid-Atlantic. So South Central U.S. today, pretty quiet weather outside of what happens in really Kansas points north. And, there it is. We get into about 6, 7 p.m. There's the low pressure. Pops off some showers and storms. Some of these could produce some large hail damaging winds. But, like I said, if I was a storm chaser, I probably wouldn't even chase this event. But, there's people who do it full time that, you got the time, you got the resources, you're going to do it. But some powerful storms could get going here in east central Kansas up into southeast Nebraska today. So please be aware of that. In fact, we'll zoom in a little bit closer. This will be later this afternoon. At this point, the sun's going down. The sun's pretty much fully down. It's around 9 p.m. And, you got some big-time showers and storms ongoing. But I don't think they're going to do much. Some gusty winds, strong winds, the potential for some damaging winds, some potential for some large hail is there with some of these. But, especially any storm that can, initialize as a supercell. But this looks like it's going to quickly turn into a linear mode, which really favors more just gusty winds, damaging winds. But I don't think today's going to be a huge deal. One thing I didn't mention was Colorado. But you guys, could certainly see some snow today. Oh, maybe even some convective in nature snow. And we'll see, but, not a whole lot of snowfall accumulation from this. This will move into northeast Colorado and then to western areas in Nebraska. But you could certainly see between now and tomorrow morning, and then you got another little band of snow that pulls through. Basically, between now and tomorrow evening, you could certainly see some snowfall accumulations in this region. In fact, we'll look at the snow, and, it's certainly possible with some of these bands to get maybe a dusting, an inch of snow, maybe just south of Denver, a couple inches of snow in those higher kind of foothills, if you will, just south of Denver, but not a big deal today at all. North central U.S., so you got some showers out there this morning in areas of the eastern Dakotas. These will kind of drift into northwest Minnesota, maybe even just flat out northern Minnesota. Maybe some showers re-energize and central to southern Minnesota, but definitely not widespread. And then, just with the low pressure moving in, you got these storms down here in Nebraska. You might have a storm or two that might develop in and around the Omaha area, but just more widespread rain, chillier temperatures in these areas that, got into the 90s in southern South Dakota. A couple days ago, they will only get into the 40s and 50s today. So much chillier conditions. You certainly aren't fully, into spring up here. You're definitely in spring, but, it's not like you got. It takes a long, but what I'm trying to say is it takes a good bit of time, kind of deep into the year, and you got to get probably fully into May before you really get consistent warm temperatures up here. But showers anywhere from South Dakota, Minnesota, then more storm activity in southeast and the eastern areas of Nebraska. We take it all the way into tomorrow morning. You'll have some rain that moves into western Iowa, another round of rain into eastern Nebraska, and then you'll wake up tomorrow morning for basically the entire central and southern half of Minnesota to some rain showers. Temperatures today, you can see what the cold front is, right? Southeast Nebraska gets into the 80s. Western Nebraska only gets into the 30s for highs. All of the Dakotas, chilly, 40s, maybe just 30s and 50s for highs. Same thing with Minnesota. Minnesota's a weird state. Minneapolis might hit 80 today, but if you drive a few hours to your west, only 40s for highs. And there's just a boundary right here where there's colder temperatures. But pretty much once you get east of this boundary, everybody from the Midwest, the South Central U.S. points east. Very warm. The only area that stays cool is where you have cloud cover. So you might struggle to get to 70 degrees in areas of northern Alabama, Tennessee, North Georgia, and the mountains of the southern Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. Very warm in the Northeast, bright sunshine, warm weather. You'll probably have widespread low 90s again in certain areas. Certain areas got into the low 90s in the Northeast before areas of the South have hit 90 degrees. Pretty wild, but very warm day again for you folks. It's feeling like summertime up here. In fact, you got summertime kind of temperatures, high temperatures, average high temperatures in the middle of summer for the middle of April. Big severe weather threat tomorrow. A lot of people are associating a big severe weather threat with just an outbreak of tornadoes, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But you do have an enhanced risk of severe storms right over the heart of Arkansas. This does get into southern sections of Missouri and extends southward all the way into northern Louisiana. We're going to get a little bit closer look at this. This does include Little Rock, almost Springfield, but almost all the way down to Shreveport, but all these areas in between. And really the tornado risk is kind of low. It's really favored in the southern section where you got in the brown a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location. This includes kind of northern and northeast Louisiana, sections of western, not quite to Jackson, but sections of western Mississippi, and central and pretty much southern and southeastern Arkansas. But the big threat tomorrow really is one, hail. Okay, the yellow is a 15% risk of hail pushing 1 inch or diameter or larger. I'm sorry, I'm brain farting right in the middle of this. The red is a 30% chance of the same criteria. And then that black outlined area you see right in here, that is a 10% risk to see that 2 inch or diameter or larger hail. Not added to that 30% chance, but it's its own kind of thing, right? And then there's a chance for damaging winds. And guys, I would not be surprised if this upgrades to a, come on cursor, to a hatched risk. But right now you got a 30% chance in this red area of seeing winds pushing 50 knots or higher, which is 55 to 60 miles per hour, tropical storm force winds. And I do expect a nasty squall line to potentially develop here in western Arkansas. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they issue a hatched risk for tomorrow for wind. Right now they don't have it. But the thing we can look at right now is the HRRR model from a few hours ago. This does take us through pretty much the life of this event, just about. We'll start off around 4 p.m. tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central Time. You already got some semi-discrete supercells down here in the southwest corner of Mississippi, even to areas of kind of southern Louisiana. These are the storms you worry about for the tornado threat. They have much better thermodynamics, much better moisture at the surface, higher surface temperatures, better cape. Okay, so these could produce a tornado or two down here. We'll see if this upgrades to a 10% risk. Let's hope not. But a lot of times with these events, I could see this uptrending, and let's hope it doesn't. But look right in this area. Around 3 p.m., not a whole lot going on around the Oklahoma-Arkansas border. But you take it to one more hour, and bang, a nasty cell develops. And I would say late, mid to late tomorrow afternoon into early evening, that's when you're going to have your biggest hail threat. Right when these storms initialize, you'll have a chance for maybe an isolated cell or two right out in front of this line that develops. These will be the cells that can produce, golf ball to maybe baseball size hail. Okay, these will be the ones. But, this will quickly, by the time you're into, I would say, dinner time, 6 p.m., this will start to consolidate into more of a linear look. That doesn't mean the hail threat goes away, but it just means that the damaging wind threat, I would say, increases along with the hail threat, just kind of maintaining. But this line of storms could stretch all the way from, northeast Texas all the way up to St. Louis. And for you folks, into a little bit further north into into Missouri and Illinois who think they're getting robbed this video, I'll get a little bit more detail for you guys tonight. Just kind of giving you some quick information here to sound off your morning. But, this is around 7 p.m. tomorrow. You got a severe line of storms knocking on the door of Little Rock, moving through the southern half of Missouri. And you're going to have embedded large hail with this and damaging winds. You could have 50, 60, 70 mile per hour winds with this. And this maintains throughout most of the evening. Could pack a punch even into the Boot Hill of Missouri, southern Illinois. Watch out Jonesboro, Arkansas, Poplar Bluff, Missouri. This starts to move and get really close to Memphis around 9, 10 p.m. And, the latest run has this maintaining. I showed it last night. It looked like it weakened substantially. But this is maintaining now. So this tells me that you're going to have a severe weather threat late into the evening, even into, I would say, western Tennessee and then northwestern Mississippi. So I would not be surprised if they extend some of this a little bit further eastward. We'll see what happens. But, we keep this going, and then the storms begin to lose a little bit of its steam after midnight. But, it's still going strong down here in the southern half of Mississippi. You see the reds and the pinks. That tells us that there's some pretty intense convection storm action going on. A little bit weaker to the north. But I could see something like this event increasing over the next 24 hours. So it's important to continue to get up-to-date information. There is a severe risk for storms for Sunday. Right in my backyard, there's a slight risk. This is kind of new information, and this is in response to the same piece of energy that will fly to the north. So we'll watch out for this. There's not much of a tornado threat with this. This looks like it'll be aimed towards more so hail and damaging winds, but could be a stormy afternoon for sure in Georgia and the Carolinas, maybe even all the way up into the Ohio Valley into the Great Lakes region for our Sunday. That's all I got. You guys have a great Friday. And I should be with you guys this evening. Fridays are always weird. Most of you know I normally go out with the family, but trying to save a little bit of money and, cut back a little bit. So we might just stay home and maybe do something tomorrow. But regardless, you guys have a great Friday. God bless all y'all. Talk to you soon.